All right, this is for Mom here. I'm going to give you a little countdown. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Outside the Box. I'm with my brother, my best friend, Andy Rogers. I know.
Wow.
I know. I just wanted to put it out there and see how you responded. I tend to do that, and
Did you see the light in my eyes?
I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm with Andy today.
I would make more of an expression, but the Botox.
He's excited. If you're watching this, if you're watching the video, he's actually excited. You just can't tell because of the Botox.
Thank God. It numbs a lot of things, but it does numb some of those minor expressions. That was a major one, so I know you saw a little bit of movement, but yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate the time today. I know you're in between things. And what I want to do today is talk a little bit about some of your perspective around balance and how you use balance in your life, because I know you're super busy with seeing patients, obviously, and performance medicine is a big part of our life. But you have other interests too, and I think you're very intentional with those other interests. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I love being a PA. I love being a medical provider. I love working for family business. One of the things that kind of tipped me off to doing the PA route was kind of balance of life. I think that's a huge function that we miss out on, is that, especially, I know this sounds weird, but in America, we're very gung-ho on work and hours put in and money made. And really, I feel like a well-balanced life, you have to incorporate other things. Not only hobbies, but creativity. So creativity for me comes in the form of singing. I love singing, but specifically with musical theater. So we've had Lucas Schmidt on the podcast before, where we've talked about some shows we've done together at Singing in the Rain and Something Rotten at the Jonesboro Repertory Theater. But I also just love singing. So get me a piano, get Mom on the piano, give me a little bourbon, and I'll sing anywhere. So I just finished up singing for our grandmother, Grandma Mary. Shout out to Kiki. At the Blake. It's an assisted living and an independent living in Kingsport that's really phenomenal. It's nicer than any place I've ever lived, that's for sure. So I went and did just 45 minutes of singing and picked a little bit of a set with Mom and had a ton of fun. You got to find something that, to me, it kind of hits in the place that that's almost intangible. You can't really describe it. I would almost say, do you feel that way whenever you play tennis? Is that like your happy place?
I wouldn't look at it from a creativity standpoint, but with tennis, it is very much one is familiarity. It's like
yes,
it's like a coming home sort of feeling, and also like the movement and the rhythm to it is very it's like fun. It's like a release. And then
you can see Ben move on the court. He just moves like a tiger. He's slinking around.
Well, but the more I think about it, it is very much like an act of creativity, because when you're playing your best, you're kind of relying more on your intuition.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're not in your head as much as you're just feeling. And I think that's a big part of what creativity is.
Ben, that's deep. God. Yeah. That's it. It's when God, that's good. When intuition takes over. I feel the same way when doing shows, doing musical theater, when singing these songs. I like to riff.
Yeah.
I love to riff. And so getting into the feeling where you're actually just in the moment, and you're not looking out of a recipe book, you're not looking out of a standard cookie cutter, and you can just be yourself, really just be yourself. And I like it when you get into your feeling, that. You absolutely know that. And it's familiar. But also too, there's so much evidence out there. I'll have to find some studies. You have to have fun. like there is such a thing as playtime. And I don't think as adults, especially working adults with other responsibilities, family, partners, work, we don't find enough time for fun. And sometimes we don't build it in. And I think that's kind of even too, they've tried to look at studies that people who have come to America, we all immigrated here at one point, that we have a little bit different dopamine receptors or different dopamine set because we needed the thrill of moving. That's a big concept to leave your country, to leave a continent, to go to a new unfamiliar territory. And now we're all descendants of those people. And we're gung-ho on work here. And I think work can absolutely be balanced with play, with fun. And I find that it's actually just as important.
You just got back from an anti-aging conference, and I know like stress is talked about a lot in terms of aging well and doing well in terms of just preventing lifestyle diseases.
Yeah.
Um, what role do you think happiness and stress management comes into play? Like, how do you even coach patients, friends, colleagues to manage stress? Because I know there's like would you call that like it's just a huge problem.
Yeah, God, that's a good question. I don't know if there's a good answer to that. I find a lot of what I find with patients specifically in the room is that it's I work two full-time jobs. I work 90 hours a week. I sleep 3 hours a night. I'm providing for my family. I can't leave what I do. And now I have hypertension. I have insulin resistance, hormone imbalance, a shift in normal circadian rhythm where melatonin gets shifted off, and you have to balance that with either over the counters or prescription medicines, when really I'm like, how worth it is it what you're doing? And it's a hard conversation to have. I would say if anything you take away is do one thing for yourself every day. Do you remember when you used to find your 20?
I still
Did
find my 20.
love to find his 20. Like, you have 20 minutes a day. You watch a TV show. You have 20 minutes a day to do something for yourself, whether that is just relaxing and watching a TV show where you can zone out. If you find 20 minutes of something to do, whether it's reading a book, I'd encourage people to walk and to move, because as you move, that's a motivator, and that deals with dopamine. Dopamine receptors deals with movement. That's why with diseases like Parkinson's, it's a dopamine related disease that then deals and has negative side effects with movement. So we have to, there's a great book. This is kind of going off topic, but Dopamine Nation, I think it's called
Yep.
Dopamine Nation by Dr.
Yep.
Limka. Have I brought that up?
No, but I've watched a couple of podcast interviews of her, and it's pretty fascinating.
You cannot experience pleasure without pain, and vice versa. So they live on the same receptor, which is why low dose naltrexone works really well, because it can help balance out some of that seesaw effect she describes of pain and pleasure. She calls them gremlins, and you kind of balance it out, but you have to move. So I think using that 20 minutes or 30 minutes to just go outside, be outside in nature. One time when I lived in Atlanta, I'd walk my dog Todd every day or throw a ball with him. But I always felt I had to accomplish something. So I was listening to a podcast or listening or watching a documentary while walking. And one of my neighbors is like, maybe you should like take out your headphones and just enjoy nature. And she said it nicely, but she's like, I feel like that's what you're meant to be outside for. Enjoy the trees. It's okay that you don't have to like listen to something or accomplish something. I find that probably our generation, are we millennials?
We are technically millennials.
I don't feel like one. No, we're not.
I'm an older millennial, but I am a millennial.
The Gen Z. Oof. Oof. Just kidding. I feel like we are, we're always thinking about the next thing, maybe always trying to accomplish. And it's almost that FOMO thing where we try to have all these life experiences, which I think is good. But I think at the end of the day too, we forget that it's okay to just sit and breathe. That being you is enough. But I like what you said. Balance is a lot. Like when you say a well-balanced diet, yoga is all about balance. I feel like if you string too far into fun, then you have no focus and purpose for your life. There's not a direction. But if you're way too honed in on work and way too honed in on the stress of making everything right, which is what I deal with too. And two, dealing with medicine. Medicine's not perfect. Um, and it's hard. You've got to balance that out. I think if anything, it alleviates some of that stress and reminds you that, like, God, life is short. That's what I found at the Blake too, where I was singing all these old standards, but putting a little Andy riff on them. And everybody was there sitting in community, and they've lived all these rich lives. And I feel like every one of them took the time to just sit and to watch me, or watch and listen to me sing for 45 minutes. I feel like we don't take that time. And we
Yeah,
should.
and I do think, as we get older, and I'm sure you saw this with, with the people at the Blake the other day was, I think we start to appreciate moments like that more, like just sitting there and watching somebody be passionate about a song
Yes.
and like,
Yes.
and really taking that in. But I want to bring it back to creativity again, because I actually think when you're in a creative state, I think that brings you into the present, which is a lot of what you're talking about with, FOMO and things of that nature. And also when you're with Todd, in a park, just being right there. I think when we're in moments of creativity, or those highest moments of creativity, we're super present. We're just right there doing what we're doing. You at the Blake, you're just singing, and just trying to, like, you
And
know,
two, without an agenda. There
yeah.
was no agenda. It was just I wanted to sing for my grandmother, and play. And two, with my mom playing on the piano, I felt the generational thing worked. I just thought it was fun.
And what's another thing that I think is in terms of like stress management and balance. Um, I think the idea of really focusing on others beside yourself puts you in that place. You just mentioned you were singing for your grandmother. Like that automatically, I think, puts you in this amazing state of mind, and maybe that's what balance is. So much of we focus on our work, we focus on things that we need to get done. Um, Maybe balance is just, picking out times during the day where we focus on other people, and bringing them joy.
Yes, but also to incorporate play. We're
Yeah.
so serious. Sometimes I just feel like we're so serious all the time, which is too, like, I hope everybody watched the podcast with drinking beer.
Yeah.
That was it was so much fun. Not only was it so much fun, but it also, like, it just reminded me that, like, God, Jill's a brilliant orthopedic PA, years and years of experience. And the way she just spitting out, did you watch it and take
I
notes?
did. It was
Oh my God,
phenomenal.
like, she's brilliant. And I find that, like, she and her husband John found so much creativity with that too, that they've found and brought together a community. And I just think it's so fun because you can be, and this is probably getting into deep about finding your true identity. How often do we just describe ourselves as, I'm in marketing, I'm a physician assistant, I'm a teacher, when really we are way more complicated and multifaceted than that. And I don't think that a career or a profession defines us. I think it's a lot more than that. And I loved the beer episode because I'm not that into beer, and I really got into it. I went to Yeehaw yesterday.
Yes.
I did. I didn't get a beer. They have cider now.
I know they do, but I think that's
For all
phenomenal.
you gluten-free folk.
And guys, we'll link the episode with Jill. It's called Bones and Brews in the description below. You can watch Andy and Jill do a beer tasting. And we'll also link a couple videos we did with Jamie Winship in regards to identity.
Yes. Yes.
It is so much more than, what it is that you do. Real quick before we let you go, Andy, give us some tips in terms of how to build in play into a modern busy life, like things you do, because I think play is so important, and that's kind of what I'm getting out of this conversation, is just how important it is to play, have fun, laugh, belly laugh, that whole thing. What are some ways we can do that this week?
I'm just kidding. No, ways to incorporate in the modern world. I'll tell you this. Okay, as an adult.
Yep.
So finding friends as an adult is hard.
Yeah.
It's you. I find that when you find your pockets of people, it's usually through school, like grad school. I have my group of friends from there, group of friends from college, group of friends from high school. You're all in a similar goal and pattern where you're going to be together for a while. You have everybody's together at the same time, so it's easy
Right.
to make friends out of that. When you're in the working world, you got to get out. You have to do something. You have to get out and you have to make an effort. So going to your community board and seeing what's out there, like they just released something in the Tri-Cities about arts and entertainment. So all the shows, venues, festivals for the next 3 months are just listed in a magazine. Go to them. Literally go to those. Or to joining leagues, softball leagues, volleyball leagues, even for fun. It gets you moving. And that way too, you can find people who have similar likes as you. Get involved with theater. I love theater and play. I think it's for everybody. The Tri-Cities I can name 4 theaters that are all community theaters just in our community. So I'm sure in your community, there's at least one. But finding an activity, even like a project, even gardening, like getting out, getting back into nature. Are you still into grounding?
No, but I'm still a big believer in it. I don't practice it though.
It's getting connected. So grounding, first off, a couple things you talked about. FOMO, fear of missing out. That was an acronym in case you don't know that. Grounding is where you take off your socks and your shoes and you put your feet on the earth. The earth can have a magnetism to it and it gets us connected. That's even a dance thing too. Whenever you go up on releve in a turn or pirouette, you have to push into the ground to find your center. So that's
Nice.
all about getting into it and you really dig your feet in. And I think that too, there's hiking, being outdoors. We're about to go into summer season. It gets vitamin D. It gets you out in nature. And that's playful too. I went on a hike one week ago. This sounds like I'm super outdoorsy and I'm not, but I did go on a hike. And there was just a ton of running water. And I've been told by other people who are much older and wiser than me, to take off my shoes and socks and have running water over my feet. So I just did, and it felt great. That's fun.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I would imagine that would feel great, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that good enough advice? I mean,
I think that's wonderful. I will add, I think simply walking, there's something therapeutic about just moving forward. You mentioned that earlier in this conversation, but I think art, painting, getting a hobby like that is super cool.
Or even like if I keep talking about the beer, it's not that we're promoting drinking, but right. There's a craft to it. There's an art and there's a community. Find your thing, no matter how weird it is, or not that beer is weird. Whatever, you might think it's weird and totally out there, but I guarantee Dungeons and Dragons, that the D&D crowd's huge. Go out, that's fun, and that's super creative.
It is. And another thing, I
think there's a
lot. What Dad does is, he's taking up the guitar and he plays the guitar. He plays the same songs over and over, but it's still kind of, but it's that's a good thing for him,
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe not for the people around him, but it's good for him.
Here comes the friggin' sun. No, he's good. He's gotten a lot better. He's gotten a lot better, actually.
He has gotten a lot better because he practices.
Gotten a lot better. And he practices, which is good. Yeah, we're gonna do a performance together. He's asked me to join his band.
So the Blake has its next act coming.
The Blake has its next act. That's true.
Well, man, I appreciate the time today. This has been a super informative episode around just balance, playfulness, and the importance that is around your health and just life in general. And I really appreciate the time today, man.
Thanks. I had fun. See, We're already doing it. We've already practiced it for the day. That means we can work for the rest of the day. We've already done it.
This was such a fun conversation.
This was, you are fun.
Guys, we really appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. Go have some fun. Go do something for
Kayak,
yourself.
get out, get in water.
Care.
Yes, have fun.
This has been Outside the Box. As always, we'll see you guys.
Don't be in the
next
box.
time.
Be outside the box.
Stay outside the box.
Stay outside.
See you guys.